Hello, my friends. So a little bit of an update. I had a pretty good idea that I missed that early dip, but I'm not really worried about it because those puts expire out further. I think Monday we're going to be much lower. Looking at the 1 month overview, I think we do have a bit higher to go. We're either going to touch this level again. If we go down in volatility now, it'd be way early. But if we do, then towards the end of the day, we should hit that again, that crest. But I have a feeling we probably have higher to go based on the fact that we had a higher month's high in the first week. That was pretty much on point. Same thing for early in the second week. And now we're in the third week, and there's another high correlator. The two local highs are at the end of the day. So I'm thinking this is probably the high, another high for the month showing up here today. I haven't done anything. I am going to sell my calls today at some point. If this is the top, if this is that first crest that I spoke of in the prediction for today that was conducted on the 9th, if this is the first crest and I missed it, then I will look to get out of those calls right around 2 o'clock. And if I didn't, and we go higher to the highest month's high, which the level is $470.70. That is the month's high, 470.70. We basically hit 470.50 twice. And if we have another month's high today, then that's probably the level that we'll hit. I don't foresee us going higher than that. And it does look like possibly that's the fluctuation. This might actually be it's 10 o'clock. This could be the universe card in that first half hour where there's a sharp decline. It could be. There was a sharp decline in the first 5 minutes. I think this is probably it. Yeah, okay, so we weren't early. I think this is probably it. A sharp decline. However, if it's not a sharp decline, we're going much higher. That's where we'll see the crest between 2 and 3. So we're either still in it, or it's going to turn around right now off of this, or soon off of these moving averages. At this point, I'm just sitting tight, haven't sold anything. I don't plan on buying anything. I might, but as of right now, I'm just sitting tight. I'm poised for a good opportunity because we have two big moves, like one here, one here. Hard to determine if that's happened yet, but I do know that the move higher comes second, and it'll lead to a crest before we have volatility, and that crest roughly between 10:30 and 12. I think we probably are going to go lower first. That would be nice. All right, so this is what I'm going to do. If I see an opportunity at 470.25 or 470.50, then I'm going to go ahead and buy some puts that expire the end of next week. We should see that opportunity at least once more today, and it's looking like if I see a good opportunity to get in on some calls below the month's high, if I do decide to buy calls, it will be with the intent to see the market go up to, what was the level on Tuesday? To the 470.50 mark, roughly. So if I buy calls at a good price with the expectation that Tuesday will reach that level again, I'll be able to sell those and hedge my shorts so that if I'm wrong over the weekend, it won't hurt. But what I plan to do is buy some more puts when we reach revisit the upper level, the 470.25, 470.20, 470.50 mark today. I'll buy puts. Provided that I do get some of those calls in, because those calls, wrong or right, I expect they'll be profitable on that Tuesday based on what I'm seeing, a revisiting of this week's high. And so that way I'll be more comfortable holding puts over the weekend, because I do see there's a dip. There's a dip on Tuesday. A gap down or a dip, one of the two. Or excuse me, on Monday, a gap down or a dip on Monday. So I'll hold those puts over the weekend. I'm looking to sell those probably on Monday, or roll them into the next week's expiration. And that's how you manage risk tolerance. So holding puts over the weekend, pretty risky thing to do. Good to hedge myself, especially with something that I know will be profitable anyway. So if I'm wrong and I didn't need to hedge, I sell the puts. If I was right and I didn't need to hedge, I sell the puts. If I was wrong about the puts and I did need to hedge, then those calls are already protecting me from the loss of the puts. I can get out easily without taking a big loss, or even hold those calls longer, sell them at the intended price level on Tuesday. So that's, there's a couple options. You think you got a few different directions to go. So if it does go against you, you still have this possibility of being successful. That's the best way to trade, guys. Like, make trades when you can see that possibility. If you're like, oh, what if I trade and I'm screwed? If I trade and I'm awesome, like, my life changes. But if I trade and everything goes wrong, my life is over. That's the wrong trade, my friends. Don't make that trade. You will go down, because the 50-50 chance for most people is nowhere near what it needs to be in favor of the positive for somebody to hold their risk tolerance, if that makes sense. So you got to know your risk tolerance. 90% of trading is knowing yourself and your mentality, looking for pitfalls, understanding your pitfalls, guarding against them, protecting yourself so that you don't lose money. Because here's the thing about making and losing money: using money, right? Making and losing money, using money. Right? If you lose, eventually you don't have any money to make money. While you're making money, you always have money to make money, right? So first rule is you got to make sure that you don't lose money. Fuck a profit if there's too much of a risk to lose, because that's the wrong mentality. There's so many things that you can do, so many opportunities to make money. And we as humans fall, especially if we grew up without money, we fall victim to this, like, oh my God, this will change my life one moment bullshit. Like, life isn't about one moment. Well, it is really one moment, but the point is, it's not about one life-changing moment. Life-changing moments, they happen when you do what you're supposed to do, when you act the way you would normally. That's when luck comes in. Preparation meets opportunity. It's not really luck. It's somebody behaving and living their life the way that they should live it, responsibly. Or you can gamble, 50-50 chance, you get in, it goes against you first. Oh my God, I'm going to lose everything. You sell at a loss, and then it turns around and goes the way that you wanted it to. And you're like, oh, I'm a fucking dumbass. I just lost half of my money. When all you needed to do was invest a little bit more, knowing that there's plenty more opportunities to come. And then you would have been able to hold through that dip and make the money on the upside. And that's why risk tolerance is so important, my friends. Looking at a 1 minute chart now. We're at a point where we could turn around or we could break down through. I'm thinking we probably turn around here. I'm going to do a quick card reading. I call here. And no, I don't think so. Nope. It's going down further. That's the thing about the Magus card too, is that it's in relation to the other cards as a correlator, it actually has like twice as many cards that it correlates to compared to most of the other trumps, with the exception of the Empress, and I think the Tower. Yes, and the Tower. But the point is that the Magus card, half of the cards that it correlates to are malefic. I think that's the word. And the other half are auspicious. So, like, you got to look at the surrounding cards. It's going to do something great for you, but you got to understand what it's going to do. And if it's surrounded by negative cards, it could be like, enhancing a dip before it turns around, or it could just be enhancing a dip, but that would be favorable in most cases. Here, it's between a sharp dip, the Universe card, and then the Prince of Swords, which is a volatile bearish sort of card, but it's the Magus card, and there's a correlation to a high correlator in that Prince of Swords card. So I think we probably do zoop, and then we drop again. Interesting. Interesting. Maybe this Knight of Discs just represents a leader, not so much a move higher today. We already reached the high, and there's only one local high. Sorry, I'm going to close that, guys. But hopefully you guys are starting to see how I use this ESO meta. It's not like, oh, I know everything that's going to happen like a year in advance. A good amount, but like as far as price levels, that's kind of something that's a lot more helpful when you're in real time, right? The ESO meta helps with the timing, but then you need the space, the other half of reality, the spatial, which in the case of a chart, I look to it as the pricing, right? You put those two together, timing and pricing, and you get like pinpoint accuracy. So like you use the ESO meta information in real time with the pricing in real time, and you adjust based on what you see happen. You adjust your expectations. Most of the expectations will stay the same, but there's going to be holes that are filled in. And that's the way you use ESO meta analysis, guys. Nobody's saying that we pull a rabbit out of a hat. Like, this isn't a parlor trick. This is science based on metaphysics, practical metaphysics. It is something practical. Just because we don't understand it doesn't mean it isn't real, right? So that's what this is based on, is science. That's why it's so consistent. You can do it day after day after day after honing your skills, obviously. Looks like we're going deeper. It's unexpected failure is the theme card, but it's also nullified. It doesn't have a correlation to any of the timeline cards. And there's a trade midday. Let me see it on the astrological portion. We also do these calendars, guys. Pretty sick. We develop these calendars, so we use individuals. They're custom calendars, monthly calendars, and we use an individual's birth chart information and a synastry chart using a synastry reading using the birth information from whatever the investment is that they are interested in, and it gives you a combination of how the two will interact every day. And then it goes into highly bullish, bearish, highly bearish. Gives a lot of information as far as whether somebody should trade on that day, personal to them, to trade that stock or not, or that investment, silver, crypto, whatever it goes. And I use one myself. I've been using it for quite some time. We have a very skilled professional astrologer on our team, yeah, she knows a ton, and we're doing phenomenal using this stuff. So that's something that's either on the website now or it will be very soon as far as something that can be purchased. Highly recommend people check it out. If this is a push higher now, it's 1018. But it looks like we could have been a bit early there in the strike. We have another push higher. It's an interesting day, but I see a high and a low at the end of the day. There's only one local high on the overview, though. It's probably the same high. That's what I'm thinking. It's probably the same high, based on the fact that the high is a failed attempt to break through resistance, and then Eight of Discs. Yeah. I'm going to go do some meditation, guys. I'll be back in a little bit. It's a pretty good idea not to watch the stock market all day long, especially if you're building a new mentality. Let's say if you were somebody with a scarcity mentality, grew up with that, like myself. I had a huge scarcity mentality. I was broke most of my life. And so I had to recondition my mind and my automatic thought processes. And otherwise, my subconscious mind, I used subliminal programming intensely to do that. And it does work, guys. It's the most effective means by which to change the way you think. It's like autopilot in the right direction. But in any case, so, it's important not to put yourself in like a position where you constantly have to like rearrange your thought and make sure you're thinking positively and whatnot, because that's how it's like watching a kettle boil or a pot boil. You're like, I want it to boil already, and you're watching and watching and watching. It takes forever, right? But if you go away and you come back, it's boiling. And that's the way reality actually works, guys, because everything is being created through our minds in our own multidimensional reality, right? That's synchronized with everybody else, with everybody else's reality. But we're creating it based on the way that we think about things. Do we have enough time, or are we rushing? We run out of time when we rush. We run out of time when we waste time, right? When we use time, like, by means, we don't waste it, but we don't feel, oh my God, I'm going to be late, I'm going to run. That's when you have plenty of time. You always have enough time, because, guys, take a minute, cut it in half. Get half a minute, right? Take that half a minute, cut it in half. You get a quarter of a minute, cut that in half. An eighth of a minute, you cut that in half. A 16th of a minute, and so on and so on and so on. Answer me this: when do you run out of something to cut in half? Exactly. You don't. That is infinity. That is reality. Like, nobody can argue against that. That's not the way reality works, and that's why we can always build a microscope that sees smaller and find out that something is built out of even smaller components. We thought they were the single big building block, and then all of a sudden, that building block is built out of things, and it goes in the opposite direction as well, guys. Think about atoms, think about planets and space. It's infinity. It's really all the same. Well, in any case, so I'm going to go do what I said, which is meditate, do some yoga, or I'll probably do some sword, actually. And then I'll come back in a little bit. We'll see where we're at, because right now I'm not doing anything. We're just kind of like not doing anything. It's just moving sideways, and it's annoying. So I'm going to get out of here, guys, and I will pop back on when things progress. All right, guys, I hope this helps out. Talk to y'all later. Like, subscribe, comment. I'll see y'all. Blessings.